is day one of Raise Your Vibration. Oh, hang on one second. Hi, Lisa. So today's day one is going to be breathwork. Now, the reason why I'm doing this one first as an amazing Raise Your Vibration tool is because I want you guys to have the full 22 days of the benefits of being able to include breathwork into your day. So each time I introduce a tool or a technique or a ritual in the morning, I am going to suggest ways that you can include it into your day. It doesn't all have to be done in one big block. You can if you want, but I like to be able to have incidental ways to be able to include all of my tools and techniques into my day or to my month or to my week, depending on what the tool or technique is. So today's one is breathwork. Now, breathwork is a really big topic. The email that you will also get along with each day has a more in-depth sort of discussion and just more kind of a notes-taking type situation for you as well. So don't be afraid that you're going to miss out on information or not get to take notes, because it's all going to be in there, everything that I run through as well. You made it, Sarah. Breathwork is a huge topic. It's also a bit of a trend, a bit of a buzz, but you'll see that a lot of spiritual tools and techniques are becoming that way, and a lot of people are niching them. So they're taking things like breathwork and just making a business out of breathwork, and they're taking things out of cleansing and making a business out of cleansing, out of grounding and making a business out of grounding and protection, and they're separating it all just to find that niche. And that's because that's what marketing tells us. But ultimately, breathwork is something that everyone can have access to, and breathing is free, as far as the last time I checked, although maybe with COVID that might be a little bit debatable. But anyway, so breathwork is a big topic, but I'm going to break it down to something that I feel is relevant to being able to raise your vibration. So I'm going to teach you two things today. One is the actual correct way to breathe, because yes, you pretty much, most of you have all been doing it wrong your entire lives. And I know that sounds strange because we just breathe in and out. And nope, that is not just what we are doing. Breathing is actually one of the most important things that you can do. And that's because it delivers oxygen to our body. So you would think that taking it a little bit more seriously would be a good idea. So I'm going to teach you, number one, the optimal way for everyday breathing. So you can call this breathwork if you like. I do, because like I said, you know, this should be something that I believe is an everyday, you know, living, breathing, excuse the pun, way to be, to raise your vibration. So the first one that I'm going to teach you is diaphragmatic breathwork. Now, this can be a little bit tricky to get in the beginning, so that's why I want to give it to you first thing as well. For those of you who already do it, amazing. For those of you who don't, you're about to learn something, and I want you to really just try and incorporate this throughout your day. I breathe like this all the time, and it was, you know, like almost like a way I learned how to do diaphragmatic breathing is not how you guys are going to probably learn how to do it or learn how to do it. I am a classically trained singer, a little bit of information there. And so I was taught this by my singing teacher when I was about 12, 13. And I didn't know the benefits of it at the time, apart from that I was able to sing better. So diaphragmatic breathwork is the optimum way of breathing because it is a deep breath every time you breathe. So even just by incorporating this into your life incidentally throughout your day, and by that I mean in the car when you're driving, you could do your diaphragmatic breath work. When you're in the shower, you can do that. When you're commuting on the train or the bus or whatever, when you're cooking dinner, you know, whenever you are somewhere where you've got a mindless kind of space of time, you can do this diaphragmatic breath work, and that way it's not taking up too much of your time in terms of rituals. So I want everyone to take their right hand, show me, and I want you to place it just under your boobs or your ribs, just here. And I want you to do a good cough. That was hilarious. Sorry, just watching everyone. So did everyone put your hand up if you felt your stomach go out? If you didn't, have another cough. Now, what came out was your stomach, but the reason why it came out was, for those of you who don't know, for those of you who do, I'm sorry, you're going to listen to me again. But the reason why it came out is because your stomach sits here and your diaphragm sits here, and it usually is like that. And when you cough, no, it's usually like that, sorry. And when you cough, your diaphragm goes like that, and it pushes down everything and it pushes your stomach out. So that's why that comes out when you cough. Now, when you diaphragmatic breathe, that is one of the telltale signs that you're doing it correctly, because your stomach will come out. So, and trust me, no one knows I'm doing it. So and I just breathe that way, and no one's ever gone, why did your stomach come out when you breathe? Because no one looks, so it's okay, so don't stress. So if we can all just sort of get used to, when we're doing that diaphragmatic breathing in the beginning, if this is your first time doing it, or maybe you're just revisiting it again, just do it with your hand on your stomach so that you can be conscious of it. Now, breathing is one of those things that we do subconsciously, is a subconscious process of our body. Most of the time we are mindlessly breathing and just trusting that it's happening, number one, without any kind of prompt, and number two, that we're doing it enough for what we need. Except breathing, when we do it, is bringing in the oxygen, and oxygen's only a very small part of what breathing does, but we're going to focus on the oxygen purpose of it today. Oxygen, when we breathe, the quality of it is really determined by the depth of the breath, so how far the breathing travels into our lungs. So we've both got our lungs. One of our right one is usually bigger than our left one, and that's just because the heart sits up there. But at the bottom of our lungs, we've got a dense population of these things that we call alveoli. And alveoli is what, and obviously it is a lot more technical than this, and I'm not a doctor, but I'm just one of making it simple like everything else that I do. So at the bottom of the lungs is a really dense population of these alveoli, and they are what actually absorb our oxygen into our lungs and then converts it into the blood and takes it through our system. So most of us are chest breathers. So when we breathe what we think is a deep breath, and I want everyone to have a go at that now. If you were to not diaphragmatic breathe, but just take a deep breath, most of you will do this, and your chest will come out, your shoulders will come up, and you'll just be like, oh yes, that was a great deep breath. It's not, sorry, but you're about to literally probably have a head spin if this is the first time that you've ever had a good deep breath. There's actually a 3-part process to breathing if you want to do a deep breath. I'm only going to teach you, I'm going to show you the 3-part, but I'm only going to talk to you about doing the 2-part for diaphragmatic breathing. And that's because the 3rd part, you'll get a head spin, and I don't want you to do that driving a car or whatever. So if you are able to do a diaphragmatic breath, you can actually breathe into compartments. You can breathe into your lower lungs first, then you can breathe into your upper chest cavity, and you can hold your breath for longer. But then you can actually breathe a 3rd cavity, which is into your brain, believe it or not. So there's 3 parts to breathing, but we're just going to focus on the 2. So diaphragmatic breath is going to pull air into the lower part of your lungs that are going to hit that dense population of the little things that absorb our oxygen, and then we're going to super oxygenate our body. Now, if everyone can have a try of breathing into their hand. So we want to breathe into that lower part of our lung. So if you put your hand on your diaphragm, it helps to create a mind-muscle connection. So if you want to breathe into your lower diaphragm and then into your upper chest. So did everyone experience that? It's really difficult to do over the internet, but you want to kind of breathe into this lower, and it's obviously exaggerated and you can probably hear yourself. It's much easier to do it if you do it through your mouth to begin with, so that you can hear yourself breathing. How did everyone go? Put your hand up if you got it. I'm gonna, how do I don't know how to unmute everyone. I don't know. So if you didn't get it, it's fine. You can watch this and keep practicing. But what this is going to do and how it's going to raise your vibration is a few things that I find the most crucial. One is that it helps to alkalinize your body and your blood. Now, most people, a healthy person should sit at a 7.4 alkalinity. And what that does is it promotes an alkaline system, and in an alkaline system, disease can't grow. Now, I'm going to call disease dis-ease. So just so you know, that's what dis-ease is when I talk about it, because it is there's no ease in the flow, so it's a dis-ease. Now, when we alkalinize our body, breath, there's many ways you can do it. So that's what our hot lemon water is. But breathing is a surefire way to make sure that you get that hit of alkalinity. Now, our stomach is slightly acidic, and that makes sense because its job is to break down food. But when our stomach gets acidic and our body becomes more acidic because of the food that we're eating, the stress that we're under, the emotional stress that we're under, the lack of sleep, food, diet, all those things, they can create or promote a more acidic environment. And when we have an acidic environment, it causes dis-ease within the body. And when we're not breathing properly, that dis-ease is accelerated. And that is because if you're only doing short, shallow breaths, or what you probably have been doing your whole life, the oxygen, instead of going all the way down to your fingers and your toes and all the way up to your brain and really kind of flushing out your system and your lymphatic system, which is your drainage system, your toxin release system, instead of doing that, the oxygen might only sometimes make it down to here, for example, and only a poor quality might get to your fingers, because obviously your fingers still work. However, that's why when we hyperventilate, we kind of tend to do this and freeze up, because the oxygen isn't getting to all the extremities and all the way down. So we really want the oxygen to flow, because if you've got an acidic body plus under oxidative stress, which I'm going to talk about in a second, you start to develop clumps within your system, your lymphatic system, that is almost like where dis-ease forms. Now, if oxygen doesn't reach there and it's not alkalinizing that area, or it's just not feeding that area with oxygen and good stuff, then that's how we get sick. So in those spaces, we can develop things like cancer, we can develop things like osteoarthritis and osteoporosis, arthritis, autoimmune diseases, all kinds of things. So breathing is going to be one of those things that I want you to really focus on over the next 22 days and beyond, because I want you to think about it as every time you breathe, you're trying to get the oxygen, the quality of the oxygen, to reach all the way to your fingertips and your toes and the top of your head, simply to clear the blood, if that's the clearest message that you can sort of vision that you can put in your head. Now, oxidative stress is one of those things that means that it's one of those things that can be really, really dangerous, and a lot of people don't even realize that that's what they're experiencing. But what it can lead to are things like, hi boys, is things like chronic diseases like cancer and stroke. You can also get diabetes and autoimmune diseases. So oxidative stress basically means that you've got too many free radicals within your system. Now, free radicals, as they travel around, and we're going to talk about earthing another day, but free radicals as they travel around get the option to either connect to positive or negative charges within your body. Now, if they connect to the negative charges because you're under oxidative stress, or you're in an acidic environment and you're under stress, emotional, mental, whatever, then they connect to the negative charge, then that's how you're going to get sick. But if they connect to the positive charge, you can also get sick too. However, if they connect to the positive charge, it's going to be much better than the negative, obviously. But ultimately, we don't want free radicals within our body. And so that's why we do antioxidants and things like that. But breathing is like an antioxidant, and it's free, and you can do it at any time. So that's why breathing is my number one. Now, when we do the diaphragmatic breath work, what we're also doing is helping ourselves connect to the present moment, which is that's all the physical side of things, but this is the spiritual side of things. And together, the mind, body, and spirit part is what raises your vibration. So being able to connect to the present moment is something that I try and find a way to do all the time, because the present moment is the quality of your life. So the quality of your breath is going to equal the quality of your present moment, in my opinion. Now, when we connect to the present moment, what we're doing is literally slowing time down in our brain. And space and time is one of those things that people put on a, we're going to meet at 6 o'clock, and that it's going to be a week worth of time and a month worth of time, and it's going to be a season worth of time. But space and time is really about how you spend that space and time. So for me, being able to connect to my breath and connect to my body, and then be able and consciously do that rather than subconsciously doing that. To consciously do that, I can bring my mind, body, and spirit into an alignment of sort. And in that moment, once I've created that alignment, I'm able to speak to my body. I'm able to feel it. I'm able to hear it. I'm able to become really attuned to my intuition as well. So a lot of the time when I go into a session with people, I will have been doing, I breathe diaphragmatic breathing, but I'll bring my breath work into my conscious mind. Now, the way that I do that is actually through box breathing. Now, for those of you who have already learnt box breathing from me, awesome. But for those of you who haven't, I'm about to show you. Box breathing, or square breathing, otherwise known as, is a way to breathe. It's a type of breathwork method where you breathe only through your nose, so not through your mouth. And you only use your nose to breathe, and you want to breathe in for the count of 4, hold for the count of 4, out for the count of 4, and hold for the count of 4. So for those of you who jumped on with me when COVID first hit and we were just doing our morning priming session, you would be very well aware of that, and that's what this is. There are so many benefits to box breathing, but it's one of those things that you can't do all day, every day. Diaphragmatic breath work is your new daily way of always breathing. Box breathing is something that I want you to do when you feel you need to. And box breathing is great for anxiety, because what it does is it sends a signal to the brain telling it that it doesn't need to be in survival mode anymore, which is the sympathetic nervous system. When the sympathetic nervous system is in control, we are basically shutting down all of our systems that we don't need to save our lives. So we're shutting down our immune system, we're shutting our metabolic system down, we're shutting down all the hormones that we produce in our brain except for adrenaline. And so basically we go into fight, flight, or freeze. And most of us are in our sympathetic nervous system control most of the time without realizing it. So this method of box breathing signals the brain through our breath to tell it to calm its farm and to chill out, and that it's time to let our parasympathetic nervous system take over. When our parasympathetic nervous system kicks in, we've got our immune system back. We've got our metabolic system back, which means that we're going to, start to lose weight because breathing has a huge effect on weight, let me tell you. But we're also going to start producing those hormones again that we need, like serotonin, dopamine, and melatonin. Serotonin and dopamine are the happy hormones. So if you're feeling stressed, or if you're feeling emotional, or if you're feeling depressed or down or anxious, then box breathing is one of those things that's going to let your brain know that there is an alternative way to feel and think. So box breathing, for everyone, we want to breathe through our nose and not through our mouth. And I'm going to just do a couple of rounds, and the benefit, the idea of this is that you do it for at least 10 rounds, but the longer you can do it, the better, to calm yourself down. So if everyone wants to keep their mouth shut, only breathe through their nose and just breathe, I'm going to tell you what to do. So after 3, let's go. 1, 2, 3. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, and stop. That's all it is. Now, the box breathing method is one of those ones that you don't want to do where you're going to be distracted, because you do need to count. It's very important that you're carrying this rhythm, because that's what tells the brain to turn itself down and bring that parasympathetic nervous system back in. So box breathing is one of those things that I now do in the car. I also do it whenever I feel like I need to. Sometimes I do it in the shower. Sometimes I do it to take myself to sleep. If my mind's going a little bit crazy, I'll box breathe myself to sleep. Now, they're my 2 favorite, box breathing is my favorite breathwork method. Diaphragmatic breathwork is the way that I breathe, just standard breathing, and that's what I would like everyone else to be able to learn how to do, because it will literally change your life completely. It'll change your health, it'll change your mind, it'll change your present moment. The other thing that I want to mention is that there is this really funny, not funny, but I guess for most of us here, we would realize that as we get older, time just seems to fly. Like years just seem to just go by in a blink. And if you remember back when you were younger, it seemed like the summers were so drawn out and so long, and the winters were so long, and time just sort of slows down. And that's simply what we call time pressure. So that's a term that scientists have coined to basically describe that effect of time moving faster as we grow older. And the reason why they've discovered that happens, or why our brain starts to feel that way or think that way, is because we create memories and we start to understand time in terms of memory. And so as the memories speed up, time speeds up. And that's called time pressure. So by connecting to breath work and taking it from a subconscious process that we do within ourselves as humans and bringing it into a conscious process that we do, we're actually creating space for mindfulness. And most of you, or I don't know whether most of you would know, but a lot of you would know that I don't tend to use many sort of cliche terms, but mindfulness is one of those cliche terms. But in this case, it basically just means that we create more space for the present moment and we can deepen it. So when I talk about deepening our time, I'm talking about mindfulness. But what that does is expands that space and time and takes the time pressure off. So we can create memories in that space that we make. And so therefore, the more connected to the present, which is created by our breath, in my opinion, the more quality of our time. So time space starts to slow down. Now, I'm going to just open it up quickly for any questions. I need everyone to unmute themselves if you want to ask a question, and we will just go from there. And then we will jump off and I will put this onto Facebook. If you need to go, thank you very much. Enjoy your breathing and learning how to breathe for the first time ever. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Darlene. I just want a quick question with the diaphragmatic breathing.
Yep.
How much do you expand each section?
As far as you can.
In each one. So when you allow the belly to expand as far as you can, then you bring it up to the chest, allow that to expand as far as you can, and then decompress.
Yep, breathe out. That's it. Correct.
Perfect. That's so great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That's really awesome.
It's you're probably going to get a little bit of a head rush at first when you start to do that properly and do it repeatedly. It's fun. It's like,
yeah.
This is
and
bad.
What pace? What pace would you say? Would you just say your own? Would you say your own pace? Just at your own pace, just and doing it through your nose or through your mouth or both? Or
either. It's up to you. I like to try and teach. When I teach people this in person, I usually get them to do it through their mouth so that they can hear themselves breathing, because it helps them just add another element to what they're doing. As long as you've got your hand on your belly so that you can sort of bring that mind muscle connection to the diaphragm to connect to that. But at your own pace, and afterwards, it's just as you go, because like I said, diaphragmatic breathing has become a subconscious process for me, and I make it conscious when I want to connect to time and space. Paula, did you have a question?
Yeah, just with the nostril breathing.
Yep.
I was doing it in the mirror to what you were doing. So is it supposed to be the other one? Well, no, I was doing it like I was mirroring you, but I was going, is it supposed to be the other nostril?
No, it's just both. So it's not.
Oh, it's just both. So do one.
Yeah,
one
so
turn.
It's not like
okay.
yogic breathing. We just want to use our nose to breathe, so not our mouth. Did you actually know that people who breathe through their mouth change their structure of their face?
Because I'm one of them.
Yeah,
and also,
me too.
The diaphragmatic breathing actually helps with asthma, because I used to have chronic asthma and now I don't.
It does. It has thanks for recognizing that, because it has many, many benefits. I guess, and you know, the email that you'll get will talk about more breathwork options as well for you to look into, because there's many of them. And it's also going to introduce you to Wim Hof, who is a teacher of mine and can be a teacher of yours if you want as well, because he just has an app. But he has the Wim Hof method. But there's lots of different breathwork techniques that are the sort of the niche marketing of breathwork. So you can have a look at that. Somatic breathwork is similar to what Wim Hof does, but somatic breathwork is my deep diving breathwork method that I'll do when I want to do some healing or some internal work. But diaphragmatic breath work is going to raise your vibration through your day. And box breathing is going to raise your vibration when you've got that anxiety kicking in, which I know a lot of my clients experience some sort of anxiety or some sort of moment of like, And so box breathing is the savior for that. And they are two easy methods that you really don't need an instructor or a guide to help you with, and they're not dangerous. And when I say dangerous, some of the breathwork techniques can be really dangerous if you're not guided or instructed or led by someone who knows what they're doing. It can put you into hyperventilation. Some people can hold their breath for too long, and it can be dangerous. So these two are ones that are not going to do you any damage. They are going to raise your vibration very quickly. I don't know about you, but all that breathing has actually made my arms go cold on the inside. I don't know why, but I always just feel like my arms just got a really good deep breath. It's weird. So I'm going to put this up onto Facebook as soon as we get off. Please fast forward the first few minutes, because like I said, it's just going to be me fart-assing around before everyone jumps on at 6 o'clock, and you don't want to watch that. So fast forward those first few minutes. If you've got questions, please comment on the thread of the video. Otherwise, you can post questions just to the Facebook page, and Laura and I will respond quickest that way. If you email us, it might get lost in the emails and it might take longer to get a reply. So only those who don't have Facebook, please email and just put in the subject Rev Bootcamp question. If there's anything urgent, or if you have any urgent questions or requests, you can literally text me, email me, or Facebook message and just write urgent. Please use the Facebook page as a forum to support each other. Put your experiences, put photos, put questions. Let's create a bit of a community of like-minded people, and no pressure, just support. If there is pressure or if it is unsupportive, I will boot you, and you know I will. So no apologies. For those who can't join the 6 a.m. or 8 a.m. or can only do one, that's totally fine, because the PM sessions are going to be a very quick recap, but I'm going to unmute everybody and have like an open Q&A type forum where we can talk about how you went for that day, the first day of discovering whatever it was that we spoke about that day. You're going to, I'm not going to give you the calendar of the 22 days. I want it to be a surprise every day, so you can just sit with that one and suffer and have to just get excited to see what happens the next day. But it is all planned out. I want to introduce to you very quickly Sacred Sunday. So Sacred Sunday is a day where I will not come on for the morning and evening sessions. Sacred Sunday is something that I will speak to you about through the week, but Sundays is the day off. It's the day off of Zoom sessions. It's not the day off of raising your vibe. If anything, it's probably the most important day of raising your vibe, and that's where we make it sacred. And so I want everyone to learn to make space for themselves that they can create a sacred, and Sacred Sunday is my day to make a Sunday. Hopefully no one's working on a Sunday, but if you are, you can choose a different day to make sacred ultimately in the end. But for the next 22 days, the 3 Sundays are Sacred Sunday. Each Saturday is going to be, well, the 2 Saturdays on either side. The middle Saturday is going to be a workshop, and it's going to be the Raise Your Vibration Board workshop. So we're going to do that via Zoom. So you'll find out more about that at the end of this week and early next week on what you need to do. And the 2 Saturdays either way are going to be meditation days, and my husband Matt, who facilitates meditation, is going to take everyone through a Saturday morning meditation and a Saturday evening meditation, so that will be fun. So yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed day 1. Have so much fun raising your vibe just simply by breathing, because who'd have thought, right? And yeah, I love you all, and thank you so much for joining, and go and have an amazing first day of spring.